Namaskar everyone. I believe we are live now for our first session of Panchanga Praveshika. Can one of you please confirm if we are live?
I don't see
I
it.
don't see.
Oh, yes, now yes.
Okay.
You're live.
नंदो गुरुपदगंज कृपा सिंधु नरूप हरि महामोहतम पुंजजा सुवचन रविकर निकर बंतो सीताराम द्विपद सकल सुमंगल मूल तास नाम वरनौ कछुका जो मो पर अनुकूल श्री राम नाम को रसिक जे तिन पद रज मम शीश गणपति हनुमान शुका सनकादिक अहीश विधि नारद प्रहलाद ध्रुव व्यास गटज कविराय लोमश गरुड़भुषुंड भृगु यार्मल्क भरद्वाज श्रीवाणी गिरिजादित्ये जीव चराचर छोड़ राम नाम जिमि सरस प्रिय तासु चरण सिर मोर श्री राम नाम को कही सकै जानि सकै को गाओ यथा सिंधु खग चोच भरी तृपित था नहीं पाओ. Namaskar everyone. Welcome to the course on Panchanga. So I have taken two courses already via Brihat earlier on Panchangam. That was one in Hindi, one in English. However, having done all of that, I realized that something was still missing. And that something which was still missing was when you actually handle a Panchanga, probably the detail of information, the depth of information that is there can be mind boggling. And I realized that some parts were still missed despite those courses being comprehensive in their own way. And therefore, this time I've decided to do this edition of the course, which will be telecast live on YouTube, and where there is no time limitation. That is, we have not bound ourselves to the fact that this course will be for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 14 weeks. Whenever we are sure that we have covered all the bases, we have learned quite well in order for us to be able to implement everything we have learned in practice, then we'll close the course. The course, like I have mentioned, will be telecast live every Saturday and Sunday, Indian time, 8 p.m. What is Panchanga? Panchanga, very similarly, simply put, is a study of the quality of time. The quality of time which we see through 5 limbs. What are those 5 limbs? The 5 limbs are Var. Var is essentially the day of the week, weekday. So today we are doing this class on 1st November 2025. It is Shanivar or Saturday. So the Var is Shanivar, Saturday. Next is Tithi. Tithi, essentially, the Tithi that was Udit today. The Tithi that we had at sunrise today was Dashami. Shukla Paksha, Dashami. What is Tithi? The Tithi essentially is a measure of the difference of longitudes between the moon and the sun. Since the moon is faster than the sun, it keeps on in a process of chasing when seen from the earth. There is no chasing actually happening. But in astronomy and astrology, we look at everything from a geocentric perspective. From the geocentric perspective, we find that sun takes about a month to cover one sign of 30 degree, while moon takes about 2.25 days to cover the same sign. Okay, so moon is, of course, if we convert it into the number of degrees moved per day, moon appears to be moving faster than the sun. Why it appears to be moving faster than the sun? What is the mathematics behind that? We'll cover that as well as we go forward. Very simply put, a tithi is determined by the longitudinal difference between the sun and the moon. When the moon is behind the sun by 12 degrees, from that point to when the moon is exactly at the degree of the sun. That tithi is called Amavasya. So, what is the span of the tithi? 12-degree difference between sun and moon. When the tithi started, moon was behind sun at by 12 degrees, which means that moon was with respect to sun minus 12 degree, and when it came to 0 degree, Amavasya happened. Similarly, Pratipada, after Amavasya, Shukla Paksh starts, which is basically the increasing moon. Okay. Now, the increasing moon that starts in Shukla Paksha, there we find that the Pratipada, the first tithi after that, is when moon is ahead of sun between 0 degree and 12 degree. Dvitiya, moon is ahead of sun between 12 degree and 24 degrees similarly. When they are apart from each other at 180 degree, that is what we call as Purnima. So one is Vara, one is Tithi. After Purnima, then the Krishna Paksh starts. We'll get into details as we go forward. Then you have Nakshatra. They are also called lunar mansions. The biggest difference between Indian astrology and Western astrology is the way we measure the positions of different stars, different planets, and even mathematical points. Rahu and Ketu, the lunar nodes, are actually mathematical points. The difference is how we measure them. In Western astrology, the measurement is done from what is called as spring equinox. What is spring equinox? The beginning of spring that happens sometimes around 23rd, 24th, 22nd March every year. Okay, when the day and the night are equal, and the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere, the beginning of autumn in the southern hemisphere. On that day, we see the location of sun, and that is the point from which first degree of Aries actually starts. In our case, it is different. We define the first degree of Aries actually as first degree of Ashwini, which is a group of stars which we call as Ashwini Nakshatra. So these nakshatras are group of stars that are so far from the earth, thousands of light years away, that even in millions of years there is hardly any perceived movement that happens. On the other hand, in the case of equinox as a measure, every year it moves backward a little. This is called the precession of equinoxes. Another concept which we will deal in significant detail. The sum and substance of it all is that there are 27 nakshatras and moon covers one nakshatra in one day. Okay, 27 nakshatras, moon covers one nakshatra in one day. And therefore what? Therefore, these are called lunar mansions also. So one is Var, one is Tithi, one is Nakshatra. Next is Karana. Karana is half of the Tithi. Tithi is 12 degrees. Karana is 6 degrees difference between sun and moon. Then is Yoga. Yoga is calculated by the some arithmetical manipulations to the longitudes of sun and moon. There are two kinds of yogas. For the purpose of Panchanga proper, the 5 limbs, we use what is called as Nitya Yoga. Similarly, there are Anand Adi Yoga. We'll discuss all of these in detail. Plus, Panchanga contains many other things. So, in today's session, the idea is to familiarize you with what a typical Panchanga has. So, I've tried to create what an ideal Panchanga will look like for the Shukla Paksh that we are in. So, I've created that Panchanga, and on the basis of that, we'll try to study. So, I'll share an Excel sheet now and explain the entire process. The idea of explaining is that we all understand it very clearly what things are. Once the screen is shared, I request one of the co-hosts to please confirm the same. Is the sheet visible to everyone?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
It's still not there?
Not yet.
Can you see
No,
on
no.
YouTube?
Not yet,
Can
sir.
you, see,
No,
can you check on
not on.
YouTube?
Not on YouTube also.
Okay. Maybe let's wait for a minute and then we'll see. Nothing yet?
No.
Probably I'll convert it into a PDF then. Just 1 minute, guys. I'm converting it into a PDF and then sharing. New software, some teething issues. My apologies.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
I
share.
hope it is visible now.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
on.
Yes,
Yeah, this-
Font is very low.
yes.
maybe we can zoom in.
That is what I'm trying. Okay. So try to see. I'm sorry for this, but let us try to see what is happening there. So first, you see on the leftmost column, it is 22nd October. The rising tithi is Pratipada. The Vara is Tuesday. Then Chandra Nakshatra is Swati. Is anything visible at all on the screen when I'm saying? Can you see it?
Too tiny, sir.
What do I do for it?
Is it a PDF? Is it a PDF or a PPT?
It's a PDF, but actually I have to show this entire thing, no? So I'll again try to
Maybe we can take a screenshot
share
and
screen.
condense.
Share screen and project the PPT, and then use the magnifier.
I am trying to share the screen. Unfortunately, it is not taking. Is it available by any chance now?
Showing the same screen.
Still the same
Same,
size.
the same size.
It is still not presenting.
No, it's the
It is
same
presenting,
PDF.
sir. The same PDF.
No, this will not work. Okay. So we'll change a little bit on what we are going to discuss. No problem. Okay. So sorry, it was a little bit of technical issue because of which we could not share the screen. But so now we can basically discuss in detail some of the other concepts, and we'll come to this Panchanga Praveshika that I wanted to do today at a later point in time. The idea is, what is it that we are measuring when we are measuring in the skies for Panchangam? Consider yourself on Earth. That is the center that we consider. We know that the Earth is tilted on its axis by a little more than 22 degrees, right? There is a tilt that is there on the axis. The sun appears to move around around the Earth. Now, what appears to be the movement of sun around the Earth is actually the movement of Earth around the sun. Are you getting my point? Earth is moving around the sun continuously. However, we feel that the sun is moving around the Earth because Earth is our frame of reference. Okay. Therefore, this path that we see around the sun is what is called the ecliptic. The path that the sun seems to make around the Earth, that is the ecliptic. Okay. Simply put it this way, every year, if we consider the path of the sun around Earth, that is the ecliptic. Now, Earth is moving in a plane around the sun. So, if you consider as a point, it is making a plane. However, the equator will be at an inclination of 22.5 degree to that. What do we mean? We mean by that is because there's a tilt in the axis, think of it like a top, a spinning top. When a spinning top spins, it actually spins like this, right? So if you draw a line through its center and if you trace the path of the top, you find that there is an inclination. So consider this motion of moon around the sun, also earth around the sun, also in a similar manner. There is an inclination, and that degree which is carved between these two planes is around 22.5 degree. So the plane of earth around the sun, if you take this path of earth around the sun and project it into space, okay, project it into space, infinite space, we get a concept that is called the celestial sphere. हमने क्या किया? We just imagine the Earth to be expanded, huge expansion. Earth is now just a point. There is a celestial sphere. If we expand the path of the Earth around the Sun, that is the ecliptic. And if we expand the equator's path, that is the celestial equator. Let me show it to you through an illustration. You'll have to give a couple of minutes, guys, because what I intended to present could not be presented. So I'm starting with something else. Just bear with me till I open some of the details. Good, let us try this.
Visible.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is it better visible?
Somehow.
Yes,
Somewhat.
sir.
Yes. Much better.
Let us improve it further. I hope it is. It should be much better visible now. Okay. So the idea is what we call as the great circles of the Earth. What are the great circles? The great circles, first of all, whichever is, if we connect the 2 points on the Earth, the shortest distance between those 2 points is called the great circle. And one example is, of course, the equator, from which almost cuts the Earth into the half. And it is the reference line for measuring latitude, helps with climate classification, etc. Meridians of longitudes are essentially the meridians that we draw from North Pole to the South Pole. And as we cross each meridian, there is a 4 minute of difference in time that happens. Next is the ecliptic plane. It is the apparent path of sun across the celestial sphere. Let us understand that by a diagram. Yeah. So if you see here, this is what the equator is like. Okay. Earth is tilted. This is equator. This is Tropic of Cancer. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. This is the North Pole. This is the South Pole. We draw a line. This is like the spinning top that we talked about. This is how the Earth moves around the sun. And then the ecliptic that you see here, it is the path of the sun around the Earth. So like you can clearly see, there is a difference between the equator and the ecliptic here. What this means is, because the ecliptic conquers exactly the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, the sun can never be directly overhead above the Tropic of Cancer or below the Tropic of Capricorn anytime in the year. That is just not possible, because Tropic of Cancer is approximately 23.5 degree north latitude, Tropic of Cancer Capricorn at 23.5 degree south latitude, and that is almost the same angle that the Earth makes with the ecliptic because of the tilt of its axis. This is what causes seasonal variations in the world. Now imagine that we expand this sphere across the sky. Everything, if we expand across the sky, we will realize that this path of the sun, which is the ecliptic, all celestial bodies that we see in the sky, which is of our use, be that sun, be that moon, be that the what we call as the Navagrahas, that is Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, even the others like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and the entire Nakshatra Mandal, that will all be found to extend within a belt of plus minus 9 degree from this point. What do I mean by that? Plus minus 9 degree from this point. So imagine you are stationed on the sun, on the earth. From earth, you are looking at the sky. We are interested in measuring the position of 7 important bodies. One is a star, which is sun. One is a satellite, which is moon. Then we have Mercury, we have Venus, we have Mars, we have Jupiter, we have Saturn. Suppose for Medini, that is mundane astrology, we also want to measure Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So total of 11 bodies plus 2, Rahu and Ketu, which are essentially mathematical points. Everything that we measure can be found to exist in a plus minus 9 degree belt. So imagine it is a belt that is running across the sky. Does that make this entire exercise of measuring very easy, especially the things that we are interested in measuring? Yes, it does. Because the Akasha Ganga is huge, the Milky Way. If you see the Milky Way in the sky, it extends from the North Pole to the South Pole. It's a huge span of sky. It is 360 degrees. Now, all I have to do is to limit myself in a 18 degree belt rather than going everywhere. Okay. On that 18 degree belt, we see whether it is to the north of the ecliptic or to the south of ecliptic. Please note that we are not saying it is a 18 degree belt with equator in the middle. We are saying it is an 18 degree belt with the path of the sun, that is the ecliptic in the middle. So once we have 18 degree belt, we can precisely say whether a body is to the north of the ecliptic or to the south of the ecliptic. Correct? We can precisely say whether the body is to the north of the ecliptic or to the south of the ecliptic. That measure is called as latitude. Ecliptic latitude. In Hindi and other Indian languages, it is called Shara or Vikshepa. For example, today, the day that we talk about, what we find is the latitude of moon. The latitude of moon is south of equator about 7 degrees. South of ecliptic around 7 degrees. Okay, so if we look at the position of sun with reference to the ecliptic, it will appear south of the ecliptic. So what do we call it? We call it Dakshina Shara, southern latitude, southern ecliptic latitude. Similarly, if a planet is 5 degree north of latitude of this ecliptic, we call that the planet has northern latitude. It is Uttari Shara. Similarly, just as we measure the position from the ecliptic, we also measure the position from the equator. What do I mean by that? Let us go back to the same diagram that we were talking about. This is the equator, this is the ecliptic, this is the equator. Just as we can measure in the belt clearly as to how many degrees away is a particular planet from the ecliptic, similarly we can measure, if we make our frame of reference here, from the equator how many degrees the difference is, right? When you do that, from the equator how many degrees the difference is north or south, we call that declination. In Hindi and other Indian languages, it is called Kranti. Okay. So today, as we talk about Chandra Kranti, the declination of moon is 16 degree 24 minute to the south. Now you see, latitude, ecliptic latitude will never be more than 9 degree. That is the belt. Since we are seeing from equator, the degrees can be of course higher. The degrees can be higher because there is an inclination that is there. The degrees can go up to 31 degrees in case. Okay, because 22 degree plus 9 degree, if you assume that kind of a calculation. So moons. So if what we are measuring from a point of reference. What do we call when we measure from a point of reference? We call it coordinates, right? In a two-dimensional plane, we measure x and y from a 0, 0 point. In a three-dimensional plane, we measure from x, y, z at a 0, 0, 0 point. So we have two coordinate systems that we have developed. Am I making sense? We have two coordinate systems that we have developed. One is the equatorial coordinate system and one is the ecliptic coordinate system. From the ecliptic coordinate system, we also measure something called the longitude. Looking at the center in the celestial sphere, we actually look at what is the angle at which, what is the exact point at which a planet is on the belt that we talked about. We talked about a belt, right? What is the belt we talked about? We talked about this belt. So this is the path of Earth around the sun. There is a belt 9 degree to both sides. That belt is a 360 belt. Any belt is ultimately spans a span of around 360 degree in the sphere. In those 360 degrees, we have fixed markers called the nakshatras. Fixed markers called the nakshatras. What are nakshatras? Nakshatra are group of stars which are very far away from the earth. So far away from the earth that they are thousands of light years away from the earth. Since they are so far away from the earth, it is not possible to discern any movement in them for thousands of years. Thousands of years, there is no movement. So our rishis said that we will consider Ashwini, the first degree of Ashwini, as the beginning of Mesha. Aries, there are 12 signs. Aries or Mesha, Taurus or Vrishabha, Mithuna or Gemini, Karkata or Cancer, Simha or Leo, Kanya or Virgo, Tula or Libra, Scorpio or Vrishchika, Dhanu or Sagittarius, Makar or Capricorn, Kumbha or Aquarius, and Pisces or Meena. So at Ashwini, starting the first 30 degrees is Aries, 30 to 60 degree, that is Vrishabha, 60 to 90, that is Mithuna or Gemini, 90 to 120 Karkata or Cancer, 120 to 150 Leo or Singha, 150 to 180 Kanya, and so on till 330 to 360 is Pisces. So this belt has been divided into these places, and we just don't have one nakshatra, just as there are 30 degrees division of the Rashi. So these are called Rashi. Similarly, the nakshatras on this belt have been identified as having a span of 13 degree 20 minutes each, which are further divided into 4 parts of 3 degree 20 minutes each. So essentially, if you divide 360 degree by 13 degree 20 minutes, you get 27 nakshatras. So every Rashi has how many nakshatras? 2 and a quarter. 2 nakshatras is 26 degree 40. 1 quarter of a nakshatra is 3 degree 20. Every nakshatra has 4 quarters. So total 108 quarters. That is why 108 is such an important number in Hinduism. Okay, 108 nakshatra pada or navamsha. The Rashi Chakra is divided into 108 navamsha or 108 nakshatra charan or 27 nakshatra or 12 signs. They're all coterminous. The next time that we come, we'll bring some graphics to explain that. Unfortunately, because of I was not aware of the limitations of this platform I'm streaming from. There was this slight goof up. We'll clear it next time. But the idea is now everything is in angles. Once you have decided the 0 point, which is Ashwini 1, everything is in angles only, right? Why? So I have to see how many degrees ahead from Ashwini it is. Even it is behind, I can see 180 degree plus this many degrees, right? How many degrees ahead of Ashwini it is? And suppose it is 95 degrees ahead of Ashwini. So what is the sign and what is the longitude of that planet? If it is 95 degrees ahead of Ashwini, one sign is 30 degree, two sign 60 degree, three sign is 90 degree. So we have moved forward by 3 signs. We have moved forward by 3 signs. So Aries is gone, Taurus is gone, Gemini is gone. Where are we left? We are Cancer 5 degree. Suppose it is 355 degree. If it is 355 degree, 11 into 30 is 330. So 11 signs are gone. So Aquarius is gone. We are in Pisces. 355 minus 330 is 25. So we are at Pisces 25 degree. So what all we have measured? We have measured 3 things about every celestial object. Okay, what are those 3 things? First, we have measured the longitude, which is essentially on the nakshatra mandala where it is that a particular planet is located. That is called the longitude of the planet. Second, we have measured from the point of view of ecliptic, that is the path of the sun around the earth, the apparent path of the sun around the earth. We have seen how many degrees up north or up south that graha actually is. That is called the celestial latitude. And third, we see from the equator how far north or south the graha is. That is called the declination. The idea simple is, if we expand the equator in the sky, call it the celestial equator, infinitely we expand. If we expand the ecliptic in the sky infinitely and we are at the earth, okay, then we get 3 measurements. Longitude, 1 equatorial measurement, that is declination, and 1 ecliptic measurement, that is latitude. On the basis of that, we can do almost everything in observational astronomy. Almost everything in observational astronomy. Suppose if we take today's case, okay, Today we are sitting on the 1st of November. In the morning, a typical almanac gave me today's position as 6:14:36:6. That is how Panchanga write it. 6. 1 second. 6:14:36:6. What does it mean? 6 signs have passed. 6 signs have passed. It means that Virgo has crossed. So Sun is in Libra. Is that clear? The first is 6. 6 means 6 signs have passed. So 6 signs, what is the sixth sign? Virgo. So what is the sign we are currently in? Libra. That is clear. 6 signs have passed. Next, what it tells is 14, 36, 6. So in Libra, Sun was at 14 degree, 36 minute and 6 seconds. So this entire thing is called the sexagesimal system. It is very similar to the clocks that we see. Except for the degrees, for the rashis, where 360 is divided into 12, therefore 30, every other level is 60. Okay. So 1 degree is 60 minutes, 1 minute is 60 seconds. Okay. The only place where the symmetry breaks is the rashis are considered 12 in number, therefore it is 30 degree. Had we consider, so Rashi changes in 30. So what do we say? It is Sun's position is given as 6:14:36:6. 6. So Libra 14 degree 36 minute and 6 seconds. On the other hand, Moon's position is 10:12:38:31. 10, 12, 38, 31. What is 10? It has moved 10 signs. So Makara, Capricorn has gone. Capricorn is gone. Clear? We are in Aquarius. So what it is saying? 10, 12, 38, 31. So Aquarius, 12 degree, 38 minutes, 31 seconds. I know you're finding it a little difficult to imagine everything, so I don't have a way to present today, but from the next class onwards, we'll have figured that out. Okay. I like to teach in Excel sheets. Unfortunately, the Excel sheet is something I cannot upload on this godforsaken platform. Any which ways. So that having said, what we realize is, what is the difference? Now try to imagine in mind very simply. Moon is ahead of Sun. When Moon is ahead of Sun, it is Shukla Paksh. Just remember this very simple for now. If the Moon's sign is ahead of Sun's sign, it is Shukla Paksh. That is, the size of the Moon is increasing every day. Shukla Paksha. Now, Sun has moved 6 signs and Moon has moved 10 signs. So Moon is basically 4 signs ahead. 4 signs ahead. What is the equivalent of 4 sign? 4 sign is 120 degree. Correct? Moon is 4 signs ahead. 120 degree. Then if we look at the degrees, Sun's degree is 14 and Moon's degree is 12. So about 2 degrees less than 120 degree. Because Moon's sign is less, right? Once Moon's sign becomes equal to Sun's sign, then we say that it is 120 degrees. So it is like 118, almost 118. When you divide that by 12, what do you get? You get 10. You get 10. Therefore, it is the 10th Tithi, Dashami. Clear? That is how we can very easily understand it is Shukla Paksh, because Moon's sign is ahead of Sun's. And what did we use here? We used very simple thing, just the position from the point of view of Nakshatra. The position from the point of view of Nakshatra. That is all that we saw. and that was sufficient. We didn't even have to go to anything else. We just had to look at the position from the point of view of nakshatra, what we call as longitude, and from sun's longitude, we saw that. That gives us the tithi. Var is given from Kali Ahargan calculation. On the day that Shri Krishna left the world, Kali Yuga arrived. And our Panchankars have made an exact calculation from that. In Surya Siddhanta, there is a very clear calculation about Var. So while the English calendar had to be changed a couple of times, ultimately they brought it all together in line with the Indian calendar. The Indian calendar never had to be changed because Var calculation is directly from Kali Ahargana. What is the date from the beginning of the Kaligala that we see? That is what we have to see. And once we are able to see that, from that, we are able to figure out the next steps in the process. Okay, so Var is decided from there. Yoga is a very simple calculation, which I'll teach in the next class. Again, from sun's and moon's longitude. Similarly, Karan is half of the degree. Nakshatra is moon's position. So what all we need for the basics of Panchanga? Just the longitudes of the sun and moon. Have we needed anything else till now? No, we haven't. Just the longitudes of sun and moon, these two master planets, itself is more than sufficient to give us an idea of the quality of time. But the Panchanga, and then there are rules around them. Okay. Then there are rules which are completely independent of your birth chart, and there are rules which are dependent on your birth chart. For example, rules that are dependent on your birth chart would be your Chandra Balam and Tara Balam. Okay. So those who are doing Sandhya, they would be aware of these terms. Chandra Balam, Tara Balam. We'll understand that in detail from today. So Chandra Balam and Tara Balam, for that we need your individual horoscopes, your Chandra position, and on the basis of your Chandra position, everything can be talked about Chandra Balam and Tara Balam. Panchanga also gives us information about the local sunrise, the local sunset, the exact midday time of a place. For example, we often think that midday to 12 baje hi hoga, it would be 12, but aisa nahi hota. Midday 12 o'clock at 12 o'clock happens only at the center of India from where our meridian is drawn. From where our meridian is drawn, that place near Kanpur. In Mumbai, for example, if I have to talk about what was the actual midday today, then on 1st of November, the actual midday today was at 12:22 and 19 seconds. 12 hours, 22 minutes and 19 seconds. So 22 minute बाद का है ना? So if you are calculating Abhijit Muhurta of 48 minutes around midday, and if you take the reference as 12 p.m., it will all be gone. सब गलत हो जाएगा. So you have to take the local midday. So the local midday is given, the local midnight is given, the Suryodaya is given, and the Suryasta is given. The difference of time between Suryodaya and Suryasta is called Dinamana, and the difference of time between Suryasta and Suryodaya is called the Ratrimana. So the entire day is also divided into 8 equal parts called Ashtayama, and those Ashtayama is divided into 16 equal parts called Ardhayama. Okay, so this Ashtayama, Ardhayama, all of these are important for the purposes of properly understanding the Panchanga. Then is the concept of Hora, the planetary ownership of particular times. Suppose Dinamana is 11 hour 30 minutes and Ratrimana is 12 hour 30 minutes. What is the first thing this tells me? Nights are bigger than days. Nights are bigger than days, which means that we are nearing the winters. If this is the case, okay. So if you divide 11 hour 30 minutes by in equal intervals of 12, And if you divide 12 hour 30 minutes in equal interval of 12, you get the Dina Hora and the Ratri Hora. Hora, 1 hour, 12 divided by 12. If Dinamana and Ratrimana was together 12 hours each, easy. Otherwise, if we divide the rules of finding the Hora, we will discuss tomorrow. Muhurta. A Muhurta is a period of 48 minutes. Okay. Ardha Muhurta is a period of 21 minutes. It is also called Ghadi. And there is a period of 24 seconds which is called Pal. In a lot of Panchanga, you will find that times are given in Ghati and Pal. Ghati is 24 minutes or Ardha Muhurta. Pala is 24 seconds. So suppose I am told that it is 48 Ghati and 10 Pala on 22nd October, that Swati ended and Vishaka started. What do I mean? Let us do a simple back of envelope calculation using our phone calculators, because this will not allow me to open Excel. 48 is the Ghati. I divide into 24. I get 1152 minutes. Okay, how much I get? 1152 minutes. I divide it by 60, 19 hours. Okay, and a few minutes. And then Pala is 10, that is around 2. So something a little more than 19 hours after sunrise. A little more than 19 hours after sunrise, Swati ended and Vishaka started. Are you getting me? That is how the Panchanga cards actually tell you about time. So if I cross check it with the actual time for Nakshatra, it is pretty much similar. It is very similar to what we had get. It is giving me 2552. What is 2552? Since in Vedic Panchanga, day is considered from sunrise to sunrise. Okay. So 12 noon is 12 hours, midnight is 24 hours. So 25 hours and 52 seconds will mean that on 23rd October at 1 p.m. and 52 minutes is when Swati ended and Vishaka started. Chandra and Swati ended and Vishaka started. So in all Panchanga, you will see something like 30 hours. What is 30 hours? 30 hours means that after 24 6 hours, so 6 hours on the next day as per the Gregorian calendar. So why 6? Because 30 is given, it means that Suryasta is after 6. If the Suryasta was before 6, 30, the time would not have been achieved because the Suryasta was after 6, therefore 30 minutes. So all Panchanga, they give you this information of Dinamana, Ratrimana, they give you the information of Hora. They also give you the information of Anandadi Yoga. In addition to the 27 Nitya Yogas, there are also another group of yogas which are calculated with some particular combination that we'll be discussing. That is Anandadi Yoga, which is very helpful for the purposes of formulation of Muhurta. Then it gives you, every Panchanga, it gives you the speed of planets. What is the speed of planet? It's very simple. From one day sunrise to next day sunrise, what is the degree, minute, second that a planet has covered? That is the speed of the planet. Are you getting me? So that speed of the planet, all the planets are also given. Why is that necessary? That is necessary for Veda Prakaran. When we look at Muhurta and if we want to see a Veda on the basis of the Gati, things like Sarvato Bhadra Chakra, we need to understand the Gati. There they also give you information about Margi and Vakri. Margi Grahas are essentially planets in direct motion, where on the sky it seems like the planet is going straight. Retrograde, it appears that a planet goes back into its sign. For example, Jupiter right now is in Cancer, 0 degree some minutes. On 10th and 11th, it will appear that it has stopped. Its apparent speed is slowing down every day. And late on 11th and early on 12th, it will start backward motion. It will seem like it will go back. And in that backward motion, it will enter Gemini. And there it will stay very comfortably for a good period of time. So, in the sky, a planet never changes the path. It is all apparent motion because of the relative difference in speed of Earth and the other planet, and the difference in eccentricities of the axis of the orbit of these planets around the sun. This is a parallax that is this is sort of an illusion that is created that gives us an idea of what we call as retrograde planets. So tomorrow I'll show a presentation how we understand retrogrades better. Okay, so that retrograde part will also text tells you about Mondya grahas or Astangata grahas or combust planets. Now, the definition of combust is when a planet comes very near to Sun. And then there are different degrees given for different planets. Degrees are given for Saturn and Jupiter also. So you are right to ask, but boss, Saturn and will never come too close to Sun, right? When seen from a heliocentric perspective, if you are living on a Sun, then Sun and Saturn will always be very far apart. But when you are looking at skies, the relative distance doesn't matter because you are projecting everything on an infinite sphere. The only thing that matters is angles as seen from Earth, right? When seen from Earth, they seem to come closer together. That is when we say that the planet has become combust. It has become Astangata. It has become Mondir. So it gives you the information about Astangata Graha and Vakri Graha. It gives you precise idea about when a Graha becomes Astangata, when a Graha becomes Mondir. It gives you ideas about a phenomenon called Chandrodaya. After Amavasya, the first viewing of moon, when that often doesn't happen on Pratipada but on Dvitiya. The exact time of Chandra Darshana also is given. There were proper algorithms developed for Chandra Darshana way back by our sages. And Chandra Darshana is very important. That is also something that all the Panchanga cards will give you. They will often give you statements like पूर्व में अस्त हुआ पश्चिम में उदय हुआ. That is all with respect to their motion from sun, whether they are approaching sun from behind or ahead. We'll discuss that also once we talk about it. Then they give us the Nirnaya on Vrata and Parva, the different festivals of Hindus, of Sanatanis. They are a direct function of the position of the sun and the moon in the sky, Tithi. At times, Nakshatra becomes important. Mostly, it is Tithi. Which Tithi? And then Tithi along with the concept of whether it is a Chaya Tithi or a Vriddhi Tithi. Normal definition is the Tithi you get at sunrise, you consider all through the day for the purposes of determination of Vrata and Parva. But at times you'll find that a Tithi starts after sunrise and ends before the next sunrise. I'll show you use cases when those things have happened. That is called a Chaya Tithi. A Vriddhi Tithi is when a Tithi started on one sunrise and continued beyond the other sunrise. That is a Vriddhi Tithi. A normal is when starts before sunrise and ends before next sunrise. That is a regular Tithi. Then there is a concept of Adhika Masa that happens because of the particular use of the lunisolar calendar. Every year when calculating, we calculate because our months are typically 30 days, about 6 days are taken away. Exact calculation also I'll share. Therefore, every few minutes to balance that, there is a Adhika Masa. And that Adhik Masa has also a lot of cultural relevance for many things, including the things to be done. Then it gives you idea about Muhurta, the best time to do some particular things. Those Muhurta are also given in the Panchangams. By the end of this course, we will also have learned how to find out the Muhurta for important things in our life. That will also be part of this course that we'll be discussing. So Muhurt part is also simple. We have to just identify. Panchang gives generic Muhurta. We'll have to add that with horoscope, the specific features, and we understand. What is the entire idea? The entire idea is that we talked about a lot of concepts. We talked about the celestial sphere. We talked about the ecliptic. We talked about the celestial equator. We talked about the latitudes. We talked about the longitudes. We talked about Kranti Vikshepshar. We talked about Monday or combustion. We talked about Vakri or retrograde. Okay. We talked about Shayatithi. We talked about Adhikatithi. We talked about Nakshatravar Karaniyo. We talked about the various parameters for by which Muhurta is discussed. We talked about Adhikamas, etc. etc. So, in order for us to understand Panchang properly, we have to understand all these concepts and all these concepts well. Because the Indian calendrical system of Panchanga is far more advanced than anything any other culture has ever created in terms of the robustness of the calendrical system. So the idea in this course is that we will cover everything, everything till the time it takes. And of course, we'll be better prepared from next class with PowerPoint slides because that is the only thing that works, unfortunately. My favorite method is Excel sheets where you can do direct calculations and show. It seems that will not be possible. So PowerPoint slides will be ready from tomorrow and we will cover each and every aspect in detail. First qualitatively, and if time permits and if you guys are interested, a little bit quantitative, just a little bit, so that it is not a overhead transmission for most people, but also gives you some idea of the mathematical brilliance of our ancestors. Okay, we'll do a little bit quantitative as well, to the point when you get any panchanga like this, you are able to read it properly. So I had actually very painstakingly created the Panchanga, detailed Panchanga, ideal Panchanga for this Shukla Paks that we are running, which I wanted to present today. And from there build up. Unfortunately, I'll have to find a different way of showcasing that. We'll find something and we'll take it forward from today. So that was all for now. Tejas, can you check if there are any questions on the live stream that we should be able to take?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, I will check.
Yeah.
Sir, someone is asking how close to sun is considered combustion.
For every planet is different. I'll give the table tomorrow. No other questions?
When you refer to position, since position is related to time, what is the time being referred? Sunrise, current time, sunset.
What is the question again? I missed you. Your voice is low.
Okay. Can someone else speak?
Yeah, I'll try. So basically, you refer to the position of sun and moon in terms of uh, longitudes. The question is it with reference to a particular time or is it agnostic of time? That's the question.
At every point, you can have the exact position. So Panchangs typically give you the position at the sunrise, but they also give you the speed, so you can calculate. And the softwares give you the exact position at any exact point of time. So it can be found at every instance of time.
Sure.
So we
I
have
think
another question that
Right.
what is the reason behind the Chaya Tithi and the Vriddhi Tithi?
The relative speeds of moon and sun, even though they are relatively, the speed is relatively uniform compared to other planets, there is some variation that you see in the speeds of moon because of the path. The path is not a complete circle. The path of moon around the earth, and that is why there are differences that occur. And since the path is different, at the extremes, the speed changes because of Kepler's law. We'll touch upon Kepler's laws of planetary motion in a little bit detail, not much going forward. That will explain properly why the tithis are differing sizes at times.
there's one more question which says if Tithi is already there, why do we need Karana, which is exactly half of Tithi?
To understand the quality of time, for example, Vishtikarana, Bhadra, a lot of things are actually avoided at that time. Similarly, other times. So, Karana has very specific utility to further understand the quality of time. By using all of these five, Nakshatra, Yoga, Karana, Tithi, and Vara, we are able to pinpoint the quality of time that will be good for any particular thing to be done.
Sir, couple of users are saying that it would be better if we enable the captions from next session onwards.
I don't know how to enable it here. I'll explore it. Because
Okay,
I'm doing it from StreamYard. I'll have to check the settings. If it's possible, I'll be more than happy to.
one more question. It says that you mentioned that the axis of the Earth is tilted. The question is, what is the first source of this information? How was the first person aware of this? We've been told about this, but what is this essential
So
initial?
there are clear indications as far back in the Rig Veda about this particular phenomenon. The first person who clearly identified the mathematical mechanics behind it was Aryabhatta in his text Aryabhatiya, which was written in 3rd century AD. So if you think it was still about 1,000 years ahead of Galileo.
Sir, someone is asking if we will be following Drik Panchang.
We'll always follow the Drik Panchanga. Please understand the thing about Surya Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta uses spherical trigonometry but linear calculations, largely linear functions. It doesn't go beyond the third uh, uh, what do you call that? The third product of the Taylor series. Only up to the third term of Taylor series we typically get. But Taylor series can be expanded much. And over a period of time, since everything moves, because of the perturbations, because everything is moving in the solar system, right? The solar system, everything is moving, and the sun is also moving at a very fast speed with reference to another galaxy, another major galactic system. So everything moves. Since everything moves over a period of time, things change. And therefore, in earlier times, there used to be Bija Sanskar that was done to Surya Siddhant values. So there is a Makaranda Sarani that is there. There was another Sarani that was there. Then Graha Lagavkar, Daivagya Ganesh in the 15th, 16th century made another Sarani. Those Saranis helped you get figures which were closer to Drik Ganesh. Now, what happened is during the Mughal invasion and later during the English times, the entire culture of Vedashala work was actually observing the stars. So, a lot of Vedashala in Jaipur, there was a Vedashala, famous Vedashala. Jantar Mantar was a Vedashala. What we know in Qutub Minar right now was originally the Vedashala of Shivaram, which he had created to observe the stars. So what they used to do, they always was followed in India. They used to observe, and once in a while they used to write saranis, which was basically correction tables. So you calculate, what does Surya Siddhant allow you to do? You calculate today's day from Kali Argana, and on the basis of few calculations, you find the exact longitudes of sun, moon, and all the planets, right? The sidereal longitude. That is without the need of Anamsha, you get it adjusted for Anamsha. But if you find in the sky, the position is a little changed already. Since the position is a little changed already, what do we need to do next? We need to find a correction over a period of time. That was the use of all these saranis, Makaranda and all that. So a lot of Varanasi Panchanga, when other Panchangas still use the Makaranda sarani, but the Makaranda sarani also has not been updated in many hundreds of years. So how can you depend on Surya Siddhanta. The idea of any Siddhanta is, can you calculate the date of eclipses from Surya Siddhanta? You cannot. You have to go by Drik. Drik means what is seen. All the sages have talked about it. Since observatories were not there, all these Siddhanta were created for qualitative measures. And then using Vedashala, they used to correct it. So Daivagya Ganesh only gives you degree and minute. And he said second का जो source है वो वेदशाला से ले लीजिए. Take the second value from the Vedashala nearest to you. अब वेदशाला तो रहे नहीं कहाँ से दोगे? So we have the NASA ephemeris, we have the Swiss ephemeris, which gives us very clear data. What is seen is what is relevant. Please understand that. This is the basic siddhanta of Jyotisha. The second moon thing that was being talked about, nahi dikha aankh se from Earth, it will not have any impact. What is not seen doesn't have any impact in Jyotisha and Ganit. Okay, so always Drik Ganit, because Surya Siddhanta Ganit is right now it is extremely inaccurate, and no one uses the other Ganit. For example, Bhaskaracharya's Ganit or Aryabhatta Ganit, no one knows, no one uses. The last good English translation of Bhaskaracharya's Siddhanta Siromani was 1850s. इतना difficult है, लोग पढ़ते नहीं. For those of you who are interested, I am attempting to teach it in a mathematical way from May. Again, it will be a free class. About 40-50 people have already enrolled, people with very strong mathematical backgrounds, right? But always Drika. You have to see what is in the sky and you have to consider that. Nothing else but Drika. Okay? So I hope that answers. So a lot of confusion is now being created in the name अचानक कोई सूर्य सिद्धांत से ले आता है तिथि गड़बड़ कर देता है. आज का एकादशी. It is Dashami Vidya Ekadasi. No one should have done it. As per Shastra, if anyone does today's Ekadasi, उसका जिंदगी भर का एकादशी का फल खत्म. Zero, zilch. Whatever he has done all his life. Plus पाप अलग लगेगा. Okay? And Deva Utni Ekadasi is so holy, it is said that if any member in the family does it, then the papa of all the members of the family goes for a toss of many thousand years. अब क्या हुआ? Everyone got wrong because some smart guy somewhere used a Surya Siddhant number. नहीं करना है Surya Siddhant. We have to use Drik Siddhant. Dasmi Vidya Ekadasi we don't have to do. Similarly, Deepavali confusion, and all this is happening, and the course is happening for a reason. Because as we descend into Kali Yuga, all these questions will keep coming and people will get confounded, and people who are supposed to protect you by giving the right times will give you the wrong times. Okay, and that is how dharma chaya happens, that is how punya chaya happens. So many people did Lakshmi Puja on Chaturdashi this year. What benefit they will get? Because everyone got the Deepavali timing wrong. The PM wished the country on the wrong day because of these confusions, and that is why I want to teach every one of you so clearly that without a doubt, no matter if the entire world says Aaj Diwali hai, you will be convinced Kal hai to Kal hi manao. Because these festivals are not minor occurrences. They are not unimportant events in our life. They are extremely important. They are here for a reason. So we have to do it well. Always Drik, never Surya. The next thing in Tamil Nadu, Vakya Panchanga. You know where the origin is? The origin of that is Arya Siddhanta, which originated in Patliputra in 900 CE. तो आज हम लोग states का इतना झगड़ा करते हैं ना, we have this state factionalism happening. Tamil Nadu still uses a Siddhanta, outdated Siddhanta, in its Vakya Panchangam, which was generated in Bihar in 900 AD. Okay, so a lot of people have come around to Drik Panchanga after the committee's report in the 1950, the Panchanga Correction Committee. Almost all better Panchangars, they have started using Drik. कुछ लोग अभी भी मूर्ता में सूर्य सिद्धांत यूज कर रहे हैं. And I'm saying that with the highest respect for Surya Siddhanta. That is one of the fantastic mathematics in the world. But that works with बीज संस्कार. बीज संस्कार किसी ने किया नहीं इतने 100 साल में, तो आप उसको नहीं मान सकते. Things change, the universe changes. So you have to go by Drik. What is visible to eye is what is true. What is not visible to eye is not true. So only consider what is visible to eye. That is Drik. Drik literally means eyes.
Eyes.
Yep.
Sure.
Any other
Sir,
question?
one more question. Any reference material, books or articles that we need to supplement this with?
I'll share a lot of PDFs on the group.
Okay.
Once I start making all these presentations, I'll make it open source. Probably I'll upload it on archive or on what do you call that? जो software engineers use करते हैं.
Sure. Sure. Another question is the nakshatra
Great.
meaning and stories will be shared by you?
Sorry, if the nakshatra?
the nakshatra meanings and the nakshatra stories will be told by
This time we have a lot of time, so we'll discuss everything. I'll also discuss the nakshatra mantras.
Sure. Which is a good Drik Panchanga, paper based.
Ask the go up north. Shri Vishwavijaya Panchanga, Martanda Panchanga. Okay, Rishikesh Kashi Panchanga, Sandesh Panchanga, Gujarat Samachar Panchanga, Janmabhoomi Panchanga, Date Panchanga. All of these are gold standards. I'm sure there will be more that I'm not aware of, but whatever I have just told you, they're all gold standards when it comes to paper Panchanga. So the Panchanga I'm carrying right now with me is actually Janmabhoomi Panchanga. This is Gujarati Panchanga. I love this. This and Date Panchanga. In fact, the Gujarati and Marathi Panchangas are better than any Panchanga anywhere in India when it comes to the depth of tables and all that these days are given. But if you are in North, Vishwavijaya Panchanga and Martand Panchanga, gold standard. Absolutely gold standard.
Okay, there's another question by Supriya ji. She's saying if you're going by what we can see, so Rahu and Ketu can't be seen. So then why do we believe Rahu Ketu?
Because we can exactly calculate. Exactly without anything. That is called the Madhya Rahu and the this Rahu. And with that exact calculation, we can exactly calculate the exact time of the solar and the lunar eclipse and the exact area where they will occur. That is why they are true. They are not Pinder. Just imagine, this concept was given by a rishi so many thousands of years back, Rahu and Ketu. If you ask an astronomer to imagine it today, someone with a lot of background in sciences or studies in technology, so I'll give you an imagination exercise. Imagine the plane of revolution of Earth around the sun. Imagine the plane of revolution of Moon around the Earth. The plane of revolution of Moon around the Earth has different eccentricity to the plane of the revolution of Sun around Earth around the Sun. Plus, the plane of revolution of Moon around the Earth is tilted by about 4 degrees. Since it is tilted by about 4 degrees, and since we are talking in 3-dimensional spaces, 2 planes, it will intersect at 2 points. One will be the point when the moon will be going up, another will be the point when the moon will be going down. Those exact points are Rahu and Ketu. Okay?
Sure.
Add to it perturbation, add to it nutation. These are the modern terms which we need to calculate to find their exact position. हमारे ऋषियों ने 4000 साल पहले न सिर्फ इसका यूज किया बट इसको ग्रहों से भी ज्यादा भाव दिया. कैसे? How? Imagine how they would have done it.
Sure. I think we've covered all the questions, sir. Apologies if we've missed any.
No problem. Then see you all guys tomorrow. Like I said, today was some technical glitch, new platform. I hate PPTs, but I understand that is the only way to go around with this StreamYard. So we'll do that. This is still probably the best platform where I can have co-host. The reason I need co-host is if I don't see any on the screen, I'll believe I'm talking to myself and then I'll not be able to talk. Therefore, I'm really thankful to the poor gentleman to be co-hosting with me. I have 4 more spaces left. So if any of you guys actually want to co-host, you can message Tejas. I follow Tejas on Twitter, so you can find his Twitter ID. 4 places are empty if someone of you wants to be co-hosts. So that's all, guys, for today. Take care. We'll meet again tomorrow, same time, and hopefully with much better prepared slides so that your imagination will not be taxed beyond a point. Namaskar. Take care. Shri Janki Vallabha Vijayate.
Thank you, sir.